The Winnipeg Jets just put together maybe the best season in the history of their franchise. The question is this year, are they going to be able to top it by making it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals?
Forget me, you should forget it. You're living in the past, man.
The Winnipeg Jets entered the 2024-25 season with expectations that they would be a pretty good team. Not an elite team that they turned out to be, with Connor Hellebuyck backstopping them and career years from guys like Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers, an incredibly stout defensive core with guys like Dylan DeMello, Josh Morrissey, Dylan Sandberg, and more, as well as incredible depth down their lineup. The Winnipeg Jets went on to win the President's Trophy as the best team in the regular season. In the first round of the playoffs, they faced the lowly St. Louis Blues, an upstart team with a nice story who had squeaked into the playoffs but really posed no threat to the Winnipeg Jets. At least that's what we all thought, and then Connor Hellebuyck kind of shit down his leg, putting the Winnipeg Jets behind the 8-ball and eventually making this easy first-round series go to 7 games. In the 7th game, the Jets were on the ropes. They were almost out of it. They were down goals with the net empty. And then something magical happened. They scored. And they scored again to force overtime with under 2 seconds to go. And then they scored in overtime to win the whole damn thing. And after skirting out this improbable win in Game 7, it seemed like it was destiny that the Jets would go all the way to the finals. Then they ran into a little team called the Dallas Stars in the second round, and their luck ran out. Hellebuyck played better in this series than he did in the first round, but it just wasn't quite enough. The Stars were an absolute juggernaut, and they plowed on through and eventually made it to the Western Conference Finals, adding another chapter to the curse of the President's Trophy winners.
Don't turn your back on me. Let's get one thing straight. This is Shooter's tour. I've worked hard my whole life, paid my dues, and now it's Shooter's turn.
The Winnipeg Jets entered this season with a forward core that's largely the same as it was last year, with one notable exception. Nikolai Ehlers left in the offseason to join the Carolina Hurricanes in free agency, and while his production will be missed, the Jets certainly still have a lot of firepower. On the first line, you have an elite setup man in Mark Scheifele, along with a very good goal scorer in Kyle Connor, who just got inked a big extension. Don't want to make the same mistakes he did with Ehlers. But on their right side is going to be Gabe Vilardi, a guy that they picked up in the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade a few years ago and has developed into a pretty nice player. Wouldn't say he's a first liner, but he's pretty good and definitely a legit top sixer. The second line center is their big free agent acquisition in Jonathan Toews. Wait, Jonathan Toews, hasn't he retired? No, not really. Okay. He's 37 years old and was kind of ineffective in his last season with Chicago, but I guess it's worth it. I would have just made him an assistant coach. I don't know what you're expecting to get out of that brittle body. And Toews won't get a lot of help on that line with a rookie left winger in Nikita Chibrikov, who's not exactly a household name as a prospect. Another free agent acquisition in Gus Nyquist, who is, a fine guy for your middle six, but not exactly a huge difference maker at this stage in his career. Their third line actually might legitimately be better than their second line. They got guys like Vlad Nemestikov, Alex Iafallo, and Nino Niederreiter. I'm not saying any of those guys are like game breakers, but they're all pretty solid. The fourth line, a bunch of character guys like Morgan Barron and Cole Koepke, and Tanner Pearson? Is he still alive? Huh, good for him. But they're also starting the season with Adam Lowry and Cole Perfetti on the IR, so they'll get a boost when those two guys are back. In addition to Chibrikov, among the Jets' best forward prospects, you have guys like Brad Lambert, Colby Barlow, and not Rutger McGroarty, Brandon Yeager.
All we hear is about their defense. They can't stop a nosebleed.
On defense, the Winnipeg Jets are stacked, and that's before you even consider that they have Dylan Sandberg on IR. Their top pairing of Josh Morrissey and Dylan DeMello isn't the sexiest, but those are two guys who can absolutely shut down an opponent's top line, and they're both very good in the transition game. In the second line, you got Neil Pionk, another guy who on most teams could be a number 2 guy, but he'll be paired with Hayden Fleury, who, to put it kindly, is a reclamation project, and probably is going to end up being an abject disaster. On the bottom pairing, though, you've got the ultimate number 5 guy in Logan Stanley, paired up with Luke Schenn, another old guy who is still hanging around somehow. But for what you're paying him, if you can get 15 minutes a night out of him, it's worth it. As far as defensive prospects, the Jets really only have one of note in Elias Salomonsson, but the fact that a guy like Hayden Fleury beat him out for a roster spot is indicative to me that he needs another year in the minors to build up his game.
Wait, it's not Goldberg. It's Russ. Here, take it. Thanks. The goalie!
In goal for the Winnipeg Jets, it's the reigning Vezina Trophy winner and league MVP in Connor Hellebuck. Despite what happened in the playoffs, I maintain that he is the best goaltender in the entire NHL, and he is a guy that I would bet all of my money on to lead a team on a deep playoff run, and the Winnipeg Jets did just that when they locked him up a couple of seasons ago to a big-time extension. And what's most notable about Hellebuck is that he is one of those old-school workhorse goaltenders. He can play like 60 games a year and be absolutely as good in the last game of the season as he was at the beginning. His backup Eric Comrie, congrats on collecting them checks and probably not getting too much action unless Hellebuck gets hurt, which God willing won't happen. But for all my praise, it really is for Hellebuck going to come down to what he does in the playoffs because, as I mentioned, it was not great last year.
You ain't gonna be able to hit them. They're too good and you suck something off.
Yes, sir, I sure do.
Now, Scott Arniel is the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, and he's a guy who has really cut his teeth in the NHL for the last decade and a half. It's impossible to deny what he did with Winnipeg last year in the regular season, and how he kept them from falling apart in the playoffs, which was quite frankly very impressive. Them losing to a very good Dallas team doesn't really bother me that much, and I'll be really interested to see what buttons he pushes this year to get even more out of this Winnipeg Jets team.
Since you're new here, I'm gonna cut you a break.
With the Jets kind of up against the cap and that being a reason why Ehlers ended up not returning, the Jets made a couple of value signings and betting on older guys that could maybe give them some good contributions at the end of their career. Gustav Nyquist is a little bit of a sure gamble in my opinion. You're probably reliably going to get 30 to 40 points out of him this year. For Jonathan Toews though, it's a big unknown. I mean, at the end of his career with Chicago, he was downright horrible. He's been out of the league for a couple of years now, so maybe he's had the chance to heal up. Or maybe there's just way too much rust for him to knock off in a single season, and the fact that he's starting off the year on IR is already pretty concerning to me.
Pretty good. Pretty damn good, lads! Yeah!
When you're talking about the best defenseman in the NHL, Josh Morrissey's name rarely gets brought up, but I'm going to bring it up here. This guy is quietly one of the most solid number one defensemen in the entire NHL. He doesn't put up the flashy point numbers like Makar or Hughes, Werenski or Fox, but he is a lockdown number one guy. His opponents have a miserable time going against him, and he's a guy when you look at the advanced analytics, you always wonder, should he be in Norris Trophy conversations more often?
I'll give you a winter prediction. It's gonna be cold, it's gonna be gray, and it's gonna last you for the rest of your life.
Where the Winnipeg Jets don't make the playoffs this year, and they're probably going to be one of the best teams in that loaded Central Division. The big question is going to be, can they do it in the playoffs? And unfortunately, it is such a dogfight. I don't know if it's going to happen. They're going to need Hellebuck to be prime Hellebuck in the playoffs if they want to have a chance of getting by a team like the Avalanche or the Stars. And even then, if they have a team like the Edmonton Oilers just waiting for them in the Western Conference Finals, it's going to be a tall order for them. I have hope, but I don't have expectations that they're going to go much deeper than they did last year.
We're fucking shit! We're fucking shit! We're fucking shit!